Hey folks, I'm CPC Gamer, and welcome to the stream. Zarkrai has just subscribed with Prime for 12 months? That's a year, he says. The message doesn't show up. For some reason, not in my chat, but there you go. I hope everyone's having a good time. We're coming up on tea time, 31st of December. The other December, not the funky one. And what better thing to do than to steal a format from Zarkrai? He's right there. I have seen other people do this, so it's not strictly his idea, but I initially saw him do it, and I've stolen it from him directly, so that's what we're gonna do. Zarkrai's just finished rapping the whole year, good times. That's essentially what we're gonna do. So, join me please. Oh yeah, first I break your stuff in a dream, and then I steal it. I'm a sneaky little penguin. Empirical Wooden's here grinding away on the dance floor. Do a little move on the dance floor, baby. That's not how that song goes. Anyway, what are we doing today? I'll tell you what we're doing today. We're getting mortared because the fireworks shop across the road has started early today. No, we're going to do a special stream that I like to call CPC Gamers and Tier List. See, because it's like a tier list, but it's in Yorkshire. What is Yorkshire? It's a state of mind. Anyway. Yeah. We've gone over to a tier list maker. I've put together basically a little, look at this. These are, oh, you can't see my mouse. Well, these are like a collection of the games that I played this year. I've got the box art for everything. And I figured, oh, Patch, that's great. Tears of Kingdom. Link, tha's got to go save Zelda. Defeat Ganondorf, lad. Anyway, yeah, so this is everything that I've streamed this year. And what I think I would like to do is essentially what Zarkrai does, just give a little breakdown of what I'm thinking about it and how it looks. So yeah, Patch is correct. The first game that I streamed this year, over in January, first game we streamed is Haunting Ground, and around and around and around and over and under and through. I forget if I did that joke at the time. Oh, hang on a second. I've just realized that I'm all the way down here. Hang on. There you go. Now you can see me. I was hiding behind my games. Oh no. So, yeah, first game that I streamed this year was Haunting Ground. One stream, but it was in January, so I'm still gonna count it. And it's fine. Like, aesthetically, it's gorgeous. I absolutely love the dilapidated, abandoned castle look, and I remember that the game instilled a very particular sense of fear in me, so it does its job, and it does it really, really well. But, like, if I think back on it, I kind of feel like I got kind of annoyed with it. So, like, I think I know how to solve this puzzle, but I'm being chased by this big dumb nerd in a cloak, so I can't solve it. I do not regret playing it. I'm glad that I have it. I'm glad that I stuck with it to the end. I'm gonna take Beep Salt's comment on this one, which is, yeah, I've seen other people play it. I think I'm good. So you are gonna go here. C tier? Yeah, I'm gonna put you there. I stole the tier list, but but Zarkrai stole the chat screen format straight from me, so we're at peace. Amazing. Well, that's one of the things, Patch, that I showcased all the endings, and yeah, that game is viscerally feminine, and I feel like it weaponizes it, if that's the correct term for it. And like, ending D, the worst conceivable ending, like, oh yeah, that's a rough one. Like, there's no good endings in that game, but that's a bad one. Alright, I also showed off the frog outfit and how you do the little squat when you crouch instead of kneeling. It's great. Second game I played was Pokemon Colosseum, which I had a lot of fun with. And I seem to recall that chat did too. Like, a lot of people came out of nowhere to go, oh my god, this game is great! And then just vanish into the night. And they were correct. Main thing that sticks with me with this game is actually the aesthetics again. Like, I love the neon diesel punk look, and I love how everything is bolted together. And like, essentially no other Pokemon game looks like this one. And no other Pokemon game feels like this one either. And this doesn't feel like a Pokemon game. Weirdly. Like, it feels... I mentioned this at the time. I remember this. It feels like a Monster Hunter RPG. It's just that those monsters happen to be Pokemon. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to put you in B. B? I'm going to put you in B, because you're kind of grindy. Katamari Damacy reroll! I will not mince words. I absolutely love the Katamari series. But this is... Katamari Damacy, the first one, is arguably the weakest one in the series. And that's understandable, because it's the first one. They didn't quite know what they were going to do with it and whether people would enjoy it. But I played this one because I couldn't get the other ones to capture at the time. And I figured, you know what, we'll start with this one, see what O'Wales thinks about it, and take it from there. And I'm glad that I did start with this one, because now when I play the sequels, I can show off the quality of life things that they've introduced. But with that said, I'm making it sound like it's bad. It's not. Like, even the low-tier Katamari games are really, really good. Like, I remember beaming with joy playing this game, and I remember instinctively singing along to the music, and then getting emotional when I explained what it all meant, and that's really, really special to me. So I am going to put you here. Yeah, you can go up in A rank. Patch, I've never played it, but I'm obsessed with the Prince and King's character designs. The character designs in Katamari are really good, I think, because there's probably close to 100 characters at this point. And they all have something unique about them. Like, there's characters like Slip, who is just the prince, but flat. And I forget the other guy's name, but it's like the prince, but tall. But then you've got characters like Mag, and Miso, and Dip, and June, and Ichigo. And all of these characters that I've just named are unique in their own way. And there's like body shape designs in Katamari games? How? It's about just weird boundless energy and collecting stuff. Seriously, I think you should pick it up. Give it a try. It's on... I mean, Katamari Reroll is on most things. I played it on Switch. So you can play it on that if you... I recommend it. Alright, next up is Islanders. Story behind this one. I played Dwarf Romantic on stream. And then after that, I asked on Discord if anyone had any suggestions for a quiet, go-nowhere scenery builder game like Dwarf Romantic. Empirical Woodland suggested Islanders, and I am glad he did, because I fell into a hole and I couldn't get back out again. And it's really, really wild to me, because growing up, this is the kind of game that used to be mocked without mercy in the magazines and stuff. Like, oh, you don't want to play video games with violence and bloodshed and heavy metal? Well, why don't you play a game and plant flowers in the garden then? And yeah, actually, why don't I do that? This game's great. I feel like it is lacking something. Like there's no challenges or unlockables, and basically every map starts out the same. But even with that said, this game's great, and I'm going to put you into B tier because I very much enjoy playing it. Good old didn't expect to fall into a never-ending hole, but here we are. Yeah, that's... I love those. It just reminds me of Homestar Runner. He just falls into like a 6-inch hole and just goes, ah! I'm in a deep hole. That's the death pit. Next up is Cave Story Plus. A life-changing video game experience, says the store page. And I think that's going a little too far. Like, my life has changed in that I have played Cave Story now. But that's about it. But no, I really enjoyed this game. It was basically nothing like what I expected it to be. Because I was expecting a slow Metroidvania. But then it's actually a punchy arcade game instead? Hell yeah! And like, so probably the only downside, this goes to your point here, Zark, right? Probably the only downside about this game is that it's very, very flaggy. So like, I don't think this is spoilers. One NPC has a key, but doesn't say that. And the only way to find out is you try this door, you solve a different puzzle, there's a boss fight, you talk to a different NPC, and then you talk to the first guy who goes, oh yeah, I have this key, please take. And it's very much makes sense to the devs, but less so when you're playing it. But, with that said, no, this game's great. A lot of fun, I recommend this one. But play Cave Story. I'm going to place it in A tier. See? There you go. Children of Silent Town. How was this, yeah? Alright then. So the first thing that drew me in about this game is the way that it looks. You can kind of see it from the thumbnail here, but all these little vacant, bug-eyed children. I saw that on the store page and I thought, okay, what is this early 2000s hot topic look? So I shelved everything to give it a go. And I'm glad that I did. The soundtrack is amazing. The art is amazing. I like the way that the puzzles are designed. And there's lots of variations on a theme slowly becoming harder, and that's great. That's how to do puzzles in a puzzle game. I'm not overly keen on the ending, where it goes, here are 4 buttons, pick which ending you want. But it's still a pretty solid game, and I'm going to place this in A tier because I enjoyed it and I like the message that it is conveying. Alright, next up is Wario Land 2 on the Game Boy. Wow, my voice is going already. Good times. Patch, same deal. I can't really show it off because, like, here's the thumbnail, but genuinely, go check out Children of Silent Town. It's about 7 hours long. It's a puzzle game. Without wishing to spoil, no, actually, I think you specifically are really going to enjoy it. Genuinely, I recommend you go check it out. Meanwhile, I'm going to talk about Wario Land 2 on the Game Boy, which is structured in an absolutely spectacular way. Because rather than just having individual branching levels, this game has entire branching plot lines. And they diverge, and they reconvene later depending on how you play it. And that's really good for any game. Forget a Game Boy title. However, there it is. My main takeaway is that I just got really annoyed with it. Like, this is, I think, the only game, or one of the few games, where I went into mod chat post-stream and said, I am not having fun with this anymore, which is pretty bad. But it's good though. So, you know, oh no! Oh, I've ruined everything. You're gonna go in mid-tier. There you go. C. C for you. Now, next up is Pandora's Tower. Alright, another one I forgot that I played this year. This game is halfway between Prince of Persia and Shadow of the Colossus without being quite as good as either one of those things. It's a lot of fun, but it has its flaws. And the main one of those being the in-game timer. Like, I got a worse ending than I should have done because of that timer, and it wasn't even my fault. Okay, one boss has roulette mechanics, and that made the fight take twice as long as it should have done, and that's not my fault. That's not fair, and I'm still salty about it, apparently. 12 months later. I do remember I managed to just javelin a bird into the skybox, and I had to pause because it just broke me. It was hilarious. I had fun with it, though. And I like a lot of what it does. Like, the fact that you can play it again, and you have the key to unlock all the bonus doors for bonus content. I like that. I feel like playing it through a second time would get me a better ending because you get more stuff that way. Like, if you get the Crimson Key. Kosaka, welcome on in. We are coming close to the end of January, so you haven't missed too much. Here's where the tier list stands so far. And Pandora's Tower, I'm going to place in B tier. We might organize these later. I haven't decided yet. Probably going to do that. Pandora's Tower was January. Yeah. Technically Animal Crossing was also in January because Zarkrai, I built your house in January. So that's on the list. I play this game every day. And I have played Animal Crossing in some format every day for years. And this game means a lot to me, especially this version, especially New Horizons. Because this kept me sane throughout lockdown when the incident happened in 2019, 2020. We don't talk about that. And I was just sitting on my own for 6 months. It felt like people were closer to me because we got to go and hang out on our islands. However, I'm going to put it in mid-tier because at this point it feels like a habit I'm keeping and it's just making numbers go up rather than growing and expanding. It is supremely fun when you start it or when people start it and you get to go and visit them. The patch, I need to go visit you and bring you some cheese. But where I'm at with the game, it's a habit. And I mostly just enjoying helping out other people. But it's still a good game. So you are going to go low A. Low A, high B. I'll make up my mind about you. The New Zealand story. One day, I said, golly, I wish I could play the New Zealand story, and then the very next day it dropped on Switch. And I didn't hesitate, and I bought it immediately. Because this game, genuinely a lot of fun. And I am so happy to have a way to play this, like, portably, whenever I want now. I say that, it's not a great port. Like, it is hard locked in 4.3. And it's got this unnecessary mobile app looking front end, like I lose a life and it's gonna go, get more with Super Duolingo. And I hate that, but you're gonna go in S tier because it's the New Zealand story. And it's genuinely one of my favorite games of all time. Get in there. Next up is February, where we started with my birthday and we played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, people who have known me for a while will know that for the longest time, I've said that Double Dash is the best Mario Kart because it has this huge variety of tracks in terms of theming and layout and the like. But given the expansion packs introduced for 8 Deluxe, I think this is the best one now. And I will absolutely die on the hill that this game should have Wario Coliseum in it. And Small Mall is still fairly haunting. But no, this game is fantastic. And as I say, I played it on my birthday, and it made my heart glow when you guys all showed up and joined in. And we turned on one another pretty hard. But that's just how Mario Kart goes, you know? It's fine, don't even worry about it. Get in the top tier. Silent Hill Shattered Memories is genuinely one of my favorite Silent Hill games. Which is weird, because this one kind of isn't a Silent Hill game. In terms of, like, what it is. Whatever. And I played this one through twice, because I feel like knowing the twist in the tale makes the whole game make a lot more sense. And I really, really enjoyed playing through this one, because first of all, I just enjoy playing it, but I feel like I am at my best when I'm in my element and I can just sit down and explain something to you guys on an intimate and technical level. And I can just tell you, like, here's what the game mechanics are. Bet you didn't know. Also, this game is cursed. This has brought my channel nothing but unfair content ID claims. But I'm not going to hold that against it, because this game's great. A tier for you. Patch saw that as a wee tot in GameStop. Do you know what? If you can track it down, give it a go, or watch somebody play it on YouTube, for example. I may have done it 3 times on my channel. Anyway. Next up is The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap. My first 2D Zelda game. And I like it. It has some drawbacks. Like, I remember not liking the soundtrack very much, save for a few pieces. What I really enjoyed, and where I think this game shines, is the forced perspective tricks. Like, when you find giant chess pieces or enormous stamps, and they're all next to a regular-sized Link sprite, that makes him seem like he's really small. Absolutely fantastic. I wish the game had done more of that. Because, like, the dungeons were all regular tile-based Zelda dungeons rather than, I don't know, you go inside a plant pot or a fridge. Just something outlandish like that. The Keystone idea is cute as well. You meet people who have matching puzzle pieces and you get bonuses from it. And I kind of wonder if it was going to be like a Pokemon style thing. You physically swap with the other players around you and everyone gets bonuses, but then it was taken offline for ease. I don't know. I just remember playing this one and it's a lot of fun. So you're going to go in A tier. Is this a horror game day? Oh, Rickstress, don't you worry me like that. We do have to slide these tiles around eventually, but not right now. Whew. It's all fine, don't worry about it. We're going to talk about Fashion Police Squad next, which is FPS. Did you get it? Also, Kosaka, in terms of my channel, yes, I've got a fair few horror games that I'm going to go through. In terms of, like, the industry, I don't know. Probably it's a fairly marketable genre, so I imagine we're going to keep getting some more of that. So yeah, Fashion Police Squad is a lot of fun. Incredibly hectic. I remember some of the humor didn't really land Oh, like, oh, there's gnomes that steal people's socks. That's a little weird. And there's lots of dated jokes in there, like the coffin dance and all your base. Come on. It's also blatantly unfair at a point. Like, if you don't prioritize certain enemies as soon as they spawn in, you will take damage. But, with that said, there were some really cool moments. Like, just off the top of my... I'm sure I clipped it as a highlight. It might have been a show and tell, actually. But there's one point, I remember swinging into a room on a chandelier, drawing a gun on the way down, and taking out 5 or 6 enemies as soon as I landed, and you feel badass doing that. And it's got a weird... Patch, really? All your base is in Breath of Wild, lad? Ah, tell thee, all the base belong to me. I can't do that in Yorkshire. Yorkshire is a state of mind. Speaking of, wait, that's in this. Back to Fashion Police Squad. There's a Wolfenstein section. There's a Metal Gear Solid part. There's a fully programmed Tony Hawk trick section in the final boss fight. What? I don't know. A for a good game. March is next on my list, and that's Yume Nikki Remake. And the best review I ever read for this is, it's like they watered down the original Yume Nikki, but forgot to include it, so this game is just water. And it's true, because essentially nothing that made the original game what it was is present here. And what's worse is that this game undoes the original and kind of deletes it, which is awful. And it's slow and boring and empty, and I know that it's only March, and I am hesitant to play my hand so soon. I think this could be the worst game that I played this year. Down you go. Fire Girl! Technically Fire Girl Hack and Slash Rescue DX. Which, Yume Nikki and Fire Girl was like the 1-2 punch of busted jank. But with that said, this game, mechanically, is a lot of fun. It just needs a lot of polish because it is super broken. And there's also a lot of things missing, like a map or objective indicators, for example. Maybe an endless mode, where you just keep fighting the monsters and rescuing civilians for time bonuses until you hit 0, but it's not there. This game is very bare bones, and it's not super great. It's just more fun than Yume Nikki. I will grant you that, Patch. The concept art for Yume Nikki Remake is fantastic. Oh, I forget. Not Akuma Kira. She does, Spooky. Nope, the name is gone. Basically, the original creator of Yume Nikki worked on it to some extent with the art direction, so that's where that comes from. Detention is next. And my initial reaction is that this is a really well-polished version of some old forgotten Flash game, like True Horror Stories or something like that. Just the way that it looks, the way that the characters move, it feels like action script. I mentioned True Horror Stories, somewhere Elana Ray just erupts into flames. But this game's got a lot of good creepy effects, and some pretty subtle jump scares, which I will admit did get me. Like one bit you pick up a hand puppet, and there's a functional hand left behind that just starts thrashing around when it's exposed, and that's great. And I think this would carry a lot more weight with me if I understood the setting, because it does lean fairly heavily on Taiwanese history and mythology, and I don't know any of that, so it's just pretty creepy game to me, you know? You're gonna go in B. But like high B. You're gonna go over, like, over here somewhere. Like, I'm gonna put you there for now. You have to pay attention. It's on the App Store. Again, highly recommended. Basically, I got it fairly cheap, which is also a bonus. But no, it's a pretty good story. Like I say, it just doesn't... I feel like a lot of the subtleties are lost on me because I'm not part of the culture wherein the game takes place. Next up is Madison. And I'm going to be honest with you, chap. I completely forgot that I played this one. Like 2 weeks ago, when Empirical Woodland and I were talking about the idea of this tier list, he showed me my game list on like an aggregator website. And I'm like, why is there an extra entry in this table versus the box art that I have? Oh yeah, Madison! So here we are. That's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 reference. That's why I always pronounce it Madison. It's the best episode. You should go watch it. Anyway, I remember this game not being very good. I felt sick with how the game sort of flopped the camera around, and it got kind of grindy with a lot of going back and forth across the entire map, and the ending is dark and weird, and I don't understand it, so you're gonna go in D. Ardent Slacker, welcome on in! I'm starting to notice a trend just immediately. All the bright, colourful games at the top, and then you got these two dull black ones at the bottom. Wild. And next up is Overwatch, which I streamed for like an hour, so it counts as a March game. Because I needed to de-stress after a job interview, and this is what I went for. Later on it became a thing, like this is my weekend game now, but yeah, first time was March. And it's kind of hard to define this one, because a lot of the fun that I have with it depends on the other players. If I, or we, do well, it feels a lot better than if we do badly. Especially when I'm showing off to you guys and I want to be good at the game. But with that said, even with the disastrous port to Overwatch 2, it's pretty good in short bursts, so you're gonna go in mid-tier, but a high one, like over to the left, in a bit. Higher if it's with friends, like, this is me with Empirical Woodland and Holly and the squad. This is me on my own. Potion Permit is next. Potion Permit reminds me of Dragon Cafe. Like, you see the entire gameplay loop within the first 20 minutes, and the rest of the game is more expansive and expensive iterations of that. And I enjoyed it. I think the brewing process is one of the most creative puzzles. It's a really good idea. Every ingredient has a different size, and you have to meet certain criteria, and there you go. That's how you brew potions. I also like that this game has like an actual payoff to the dating mechanics. And it's the only game I can think of that does it. You just spend an hour out of your day to go on a date, and it doesn't do anything. You just go to the hot springs with Martha, or the two of you get together and bake cookies. That's just so wholesome and sweet, and I love it. So you're gonna go in A rank. My Sims. I streamed this for like an hour, so I'm going to count it. I don't remember why I streamed it. I just did. Anyway, this game came out in 2008. And by golly, you can absolutely tell with the attitudes and the aesthetics. And the controls are kind of unintuitive, but it's probably because they're trying to recreate three-dimensional movement with a two-dimensional D-pad. Why am I reviewing this game now? I don't know. It's mostly just an interesting time capsule to see what EA was doing with The Sims in 2008 to try and give it a wider appeal with. I don't think it's something that would really hold my attention now, because I have more and easier to use builder tools to hand, so C. C for you. Dicey Dungeons. This game is really, really clever, but also kind of unfair. I love the gameplay and the soundtrack. Less keen on the way that it looks. The problem being, I should play My Sims Agents someday. It's got a story. Okay. Maybe paint me interested. Put that on the list. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the problem being with Dicey Dungeons, this game's not fair. You will spend the entire game building up this incredible burn deck, only to get to the final boss, and the game goes, immune to burn, you should have picked stun, and then you just die. But I do rate it pretty highly, because it is a lot of fun, and there is nothing like this. So you're gonna go over here. A rank. B rank. But a high B rank. There you go. Kirby's Epic Yarn is one of the sweetest games that I have ever played. I love the way that it looks, I love the way that it sounds, and the way that it plays, and, like, love has got into this game, and it shows in every aspect. And it plays a little bit like baby game for babies, but sometimes you need something like that. You know, not every game has to be Dark Souls. Sometimes you just want to be Kirby and go knitting. And it's cute and adorable, and it's an A-rank game for sure. And a high one too. We'll sort you out in a bit. Next up is April. And Beacon Pines. And I didn't like this one. I feel a little bad that I didn't like this one, because this came really highly recommended from friends. Like, even people who have since become friends of mine have done so because they like this game. This is how I met Moo, for example, and Nins and like that whole community came from this game. And in part, because it's not my thing, it's a visual novel, and I cannot think of anything more boring than a visual novel. And I've tried. And I used to sort paperclips for a living, and give me that, please. But part of it, and I mentioned this at the time, part of it is that the game doesn't resolve its own plot. Like, the main problem in the game is that there is this gaping void slowly corrupting everything around it, and it's still there at the end of the game. The guy doesn't even put a board over it. It's just there. There you go. Now I'm going to talk about Axiom Verge, which is pretty great. And I like this one because in a world of pixel art games, this one stands out because it looks like an Amiga game. Like, not any particular one. It's just the graphics and the colors are what Amiga games looked like. Like, this is, I don't know, the starting area, red, grey, white, that's like level 6 from Maze Mania, or something like that. And it suffers a little bit because there's too much to do. Like, there's so many tools in your arsenal that I kind of forgot how some of them worked. But I'm still going to put you in B, because good game. Good game, Axiom Verge. Kirby's Dream Land, the first one. I had, well, Zakrai also played it this year. What a coincidence. I played it because I had a little bit of time left after I played Epic Yarn. I think it was Epic Yarn. So I figured, you know what? I've done one Kirby game, let's do another one. And it's alright. It's very bare bones and surprisingly short. Like, maybe 20 minutes long. But, yeah, no, I'm going to put you in B tier. But you're going to go in high B tier. Because it's not a bad game by any means. There's just not a lot to it. It's also pretty interesting that you play it, and then you'd get the hard mode code, and that's the one. That's how you like get good at the game. And it's, I think that's where Sakurai cemented that the first run through the game is going to be fine. As soon as you up the difficulty, just get good. You'd best be doing that. Alright, next up is Donkey Kong Country, which is one of the very first games where I was genuinely upset that I couldn't play it. My piano teacher came over with a copy this one time, and I just refused to participate in that lesson. I just, little 8-year-old CPC gamer sulking like a child. Because I was one. Nah, I enjoyed this one. And I know it is not the best in the series, but it's still a lot of fun. And I had fun playing it, so you're going to go in A rank for Aquatic Ambience. That's what A rank stands for. Next up is Jade Cocoon, which is genuinely one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. And you guys do not know how upset I am that the game broke and we didn't get to see all of it. The minion merging is fantastic, and the plot, we didn't get to see all the plot, but the plot goes places. Like, of note, you don't save the village from the curse, and like, your wife dies halfway through and you don't get her back. I learned lessons playing this game as a teenager, and I love it, and I will always play it where possible. I kind of can't, the game's dead. Anyways, S tier for you. Next up is May. Oh, there you go. And we played The Creepy Syndrome in May. And I didn't like this one. And that's a shame, because there are seeds of a good product here. I think that, genuinely, I think that anthology horror can work really, really well. Especially if the themes and the presentation are different in each game, but there's still like some kind of overarching setting or narrative to bring everything together. And I'm describing Silent Hill 2 right now. This game is not Silent Hill 2. My main takeaway is that this game copies a lot of other games without seeming to understand why those games worked in the first place. So like, there's a section based on faith, but it's all smoothly animated and incredibly detailed, and no! That's not what faith is. And I also don't get the connection between the chapters. Like, we're in a therapy session, but in one section, we're a little girl turning the lights off and running to bed before the monster gets us, and then in the next one, we're like a Soviet missile commander? What? I don't know. D. Mysteries on the Lake Ophelia is next, and can I surprise you, chat? I really enjoyed this low-poly fishing horror game. It's good, but it's also not a stream game. It's also kind of short. I think I streamed it for about an hour, and then I finished it on my lunch break the next day. Also, big props to the designer for the bait-and-switch ending, because it builds up that there's a body beneath the lake, that Ophelia, do you get it? But then it's actually cosmic horror. Have fun with terrifying visions beyond your comprehension. And I sure did. So you go into B tier. Castlevania! I debated doing that, but you're going to go into A tier just because I get to do that. This game is surprisingly punchy. Like, it had some flaws. Like, the whip jump absolutely doesn't work properly, and there's a lot of samey corridors, but there's a lot less backtracking than I remember being as a kid. And I'm particularly proud of beating the optional super boss in one go on my first try. And I'm pretty sure I did that with the final boss as well, and nobody should fact check that. Empirical Woodland, can you do that? I thought that you don't much have a choice of being a monarch. You just are. Hence the notion of, like, heredity. Alright, next up is Melon Journey. And I laughed a lot doing this game. And hopefully, you guys did too. Because I was doing my doofy voices. And one of the things I remember liking about this one is the story is kind of incoherent, and it's really hard to pick the next step on the journey before you get there, but you do get there. It feels like a child telling a story. That's how I described it. It's like a tiny child telling a story, and I am here for it. So you are going to go in B rank. Next up is Fatal Frame 3. Kasaka, your ears are burning. This is one of my favorite Fatal Frame titles because I am in love with so much of what this game does. It's like the idea that everybody is sharing the same dream and your dreams exist somewhere outside of you. Amazing to think about. Especially when other people bring in their own inspirations and the dream sprawls out endlessly and nonsensically, because that's what dreams are. That's how they go. It makes some wild decisions towards the end. Like the unkillable hunter ghost is stupid. And I said it then, and I'll stand by it now, but the rest of the game gets everything right, so I cannot stay mad at it, as I put it in S rank. Next up is Hanafuda. Yes, this counts. I'm going to go with the 51 Worldwide Games version, because that's the one that I showed off, and that game's fine. Like, it's a solid middle of the tier list sort of game. Like, it's great to have a bunch of little board games on your Switch. It helps with train journeys and stuff, because a tiny child can learn Connect 4 or something like that, but this is hardly a killer app. So I'm going to A rank for Hanafuda, but C rank for 51 Worldwide Games. Dwarf Romantic is next, and this is a game where I'll play it. It's like Minecraft. I won't play it for so long, and then I do, and then I play nothing else. And it really plays on the autistic urge to arrange things neatly in a circle. And it's what I like to call a popcorn game, where you pick it up, you play it, you put it down again, go away. And I feel like it needs a bit more variety in the graphics, but that might just be me falling into the game, like Islanders, falling into the game and getting full on it, so I'm used to it, you know what I mean? Regardless, B rank for you. Final Fantasy X. I like this game. I like doing that as well. This game was a lot more fun than I remembered it being the first time I played it. There is some fantastically lazy storytelling at points. Anytime a character passes out and reappears someplace else because that's what the plot requires, lazy writing. And that happens a couple times in this. And I don't know, it's a Final Fantasy game. We all know how those go. Even the bad ones are pretty good, and I had fun with this one, so into S tier for you. Oh man. I'm going to say the name of this game one time, but I'm almost afraid to do so because I'm worried that too will become copyright claimed. Sword of the Vagrant is the worst experience I've ever had for that on YouTube, including the actual copyrighted music I used in my old videos, and when I was being content trolled. They don't want you talking about this game. But with that aside, it's a lot of fun. And I'm going to score it pretty highly, because it's got a really busted economy. Like, was it 5 million gold pieces for a sword, and you have to find the coins one at a time? No. The actual game is a lot of fun. Like, the combat and the exploration, really slick. And the fact you have to use special moves to navigate, it makes me think of Subspace Emissary. And I am always down to play a game that runs like Subspace Emissary. It's like, I'm not going to put you in S tier, but like, you are super close to to S tier. Like, you're over here. You can see it. You can see S tier. You're just not quite there. Okay, you guys are going to find some interesting things going on in my notes right here. June is when we played When the Past Was Around. And I was not prepared to feel the feelings that this game induced. Like, I joked very early on, is this game loss? But then it was. And without words, it told a beautiful story that I really, really enjoyed. I genuinely, I teared up a bit at the end when I was talking about it. And I liked the way that they used musical notation to give everything a deeper meaning. Like, you can't really see it on this thumbnail, but the game's logo is notation for return to the beginning, stop when you reach this point. I like the final puzzle item is a treble clef, which goes at the start of a new song. Great. Absolutely great. Beautiful. B tier for you. The wonderful, lovely puzzle game. Gonna be a high B as well, I think. Oh man, the games have sort of wandered off the bottom of the screen. Hopefully, everything will be fine. Let's just do a little bit of that. And, well, I guess we're just gonna have to scroll up and down now, because S tier's over here, my games are down here. Oh no. That was the only unique game that I played in June. Wild. July! We played Mythargia. And I'm really proud of my joke, so I'm going to make it again. Mythargia? More like lethargia? Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't need to do that joke, because this game's actually pretty good. I really liked a couple of the puzzles as well. Like, one point, you have to read someone's headstone, and you realize there's a bunch of number words hidden in there. And, like, that's the code to the padlock or whatever it was. That was great. And the only real trouble that I had with this was it came down to a confusing control setup and translation errors. And I don't think you can fault that second one too much, realistically. So, you go in B. Yeah, you go in B. Paparazzi. Yep. There's not much to say on this one, because it was really short. But that's fine. Just like with Kirby, not every game needs to be Dark Souls. Not every game needs to be 100 hours long. And when there's not much that you can do with the premise, you're better off not stretching it out. And sometimes you just need to frolic with puppies on the moon for a couple of hours, and that's what we did. It's kind of cute, but I don't know. I think the majority of the game's appeal runs on its title and premise rather than the game itself, so I'm going to put you in C. Oh, here we go. Right. The Coma Recut. Number 1. Shout out to Kosaka for suggesting this game and its sequel to me, so thanks! The Coma 2's ready to go at some point soon. Overall, though, I don't know if I like this very much. It looks kind of flash-y, like Detention does, so that's kind of cool and retro, but there's a lot of really basic faults in the game design. Like, there's an enemy that can kill you in one go, and they spawn randomly on top of you. Any of those things is bad, but all of them? No. And elements of exploring the school were okay, but I don't know. C. C for you. Next up is Transcerebi, which I joked that this was Cave Story, but pretty much just more of it. And I don't think that's particularly fair, because the narrative is very, very different between the two games. This one is kind of confusing until you learn how to navigate the map. I remember getting lost a lot, which is kind of the point of Metroidvanias, but it happened more in this than Axiom Verge, for example. Also, it turns into a shmup at the end, and that's pretty great. And I like this game, so you're gonna go in A. Oh, Star Tropics. I did not like Star Tropics very much. I have to be honest. I think it's best summed up by this one bit when you find a secret door, and there's an instant death pit on the other side of the door. Don't be greedy, player. And I had a good chuckle at that. You got me, game. Good joke. But it's not a joke. The whole game is just that. And it just kills you unfairly. And there's bits of it that are great. Patch, have a good afternoon. Stay safe. I'll catch up with you probably tomorrow because I'm going to a party after this. I know. Wild. How dare I? But stay safe. Enjoy those games. We'll catch up with you soon. What was I talking about? Star Tropics is what I was talking about. I liked when I was able to solve the puzzles. Wow! And when they use the game in creative ways, like there's a side-scrolling platforming section in your top-down Zelda game. Yes. It's incredibly user-unfriendly, but I can't really be mad at it because that's how it was designed. But I'm still putting you in D tier. Down you go. Alright, White Day can get in the bin. It is bland and repetitive and impenetrable, and the most fun I had with it was deleting it on stream. And along with Yume Nikki, I was still kinda am considering this for worst game of the year. I don't know. Shout out to this game though for when a Korean viewer showed up and solved the puzzle for me. If they didn't do that, never would have finished it. I think these games are the wrong way around according to my notes, but yeah, whatever, that's fine. That happened, Zakurai. There's one point you come up to some notes and some words written on a blackboard, and I was just staring at it like, the game's not translating this. What's happening? And then just a Korean viewer showed up and was like, oh, I can read that. It's saying that the science lab corridor has a key code on the door and it's 1234. I'm like, well, thank you, sir or madam, because golly. Well, anyways, the next two are shuffled around. So the next one is P-Cross. That's the one I did before Koa. Doesn't matter, but yeah, I'm still going to talk about it in that order. P-Cross is something I've always wanted to learn, and now that I do, it is just who I am as a person. Also, yeah, Empirical Woodland makes a good point. They came in and went, here's the code for the door, and they just vanished. Wild. Thankfully, I then got to play something supremely logical like P-Cross, and just the only thing that exists now is logic gates and XOR grids. And this one, probably not the best game to go with. I love the fact that it's all stuff that I recognize and enjoy, but the game feels very limited. Especially when you look at stuff like Murder by Numbers, which shows that P-Cross can be a lot more than just picking puzzles off a list, you know? I'm still gonna put you in B tier though, because, oh, the fun you gave me. And then the next game I played was Koa and the Five Pirates of Mara, which is great. I described this game as a romp, and that is exactly what it is. And there's areas that need a bit of polish, but honestly, that's what you would expect from a platformer of this scope developed by the team that it has. It's absolutely lovely. I love it. I love that I got to be involved with it and to see it come to life and how it was produced. This game's great. I'm going to put you high up in B tier. We'll sort this out in a bit later on. Alright, 7 Days to End with You. I was sold on this game based on the premise alone. You have a story told without words, beyond the words that you ascribe to it. Hell yes, gimme that. But I have never played a game that dropped off as hard as this one did. I was really, really happy and proud of myself when I was able to logic together certain words and phrases on day one, and then the game hits a wall and you're just wandering around for the back half. It's missing a lot of things that it should have, like a conclusion, and I didn't much like it. Down you go. August was Murder by Numbers, and I'm in two minds about this one, because I don't like that it's a visual novel, but it runs it back by having a puzzle game element. And you have to present evidence to further your clues, and I really like that it's P-Cross. And I really like that they find a way to justify it being P-Cross. You're this little robot fella with a broken optical drive, so you have to piece things together pixel by pixel. It's also huge. Like, this game just keeps going. I like the soundtrack, I like the story, I like the gameplay. You're gonna go in A rank. Also, Sakurai finished up Ghost Trick recently, and I'm like, this music sounds awfully familiar. Why does this music sound so familiar? It's the same composer as Murder by Numbers. The music in that game could have come from this, especially the credit music. Or realistically, the music in this could have gone in that, but you know what I mean. Alright, Metroid Prime is really, really good. And I forgot how much fun this game was. Like, there are some areas where it can be frustrating to navigate, but that's about the only complaint that I really have with it. But, I mean, with that said, it is surprisingly intuitive to navigate too. Usually with a Metroidvania, there's one or two bits where you have to look up the next step in the chain. The photography in Bloodstained comes to mind. Or the spike breaker armor in Bloodstained comes to mind. But I didn't do that here. I did all this on my own, and I appreciate that very, very much. And you're a lot of fun, and you're punchy, and I'm going to put you in S. There you go. Alright, look, it's the end of my grid. We're nearly there. Stonehenge, if you're watching this on the big TV screen, and you are watching this on the big TV screen, aren't you? I'm not even picture in picture. Then you'll know when to come get me. Cool? Cool. I was going to say, Sakurai, was that yesterday? Man. No, it wasn't. Next up was Milkmaid of the Milky Way. And my immediate thoughts in the mod chat when I was done went, what an odd little game. I love it. And I stand by my assessment that this game doesn't need to have a rhyming scheme. Mainly because the rhyming scheme didn't work. Very few of these rhymes fit meter. But you know what? It's already a silly game being set in 1920s Norway, but in space! You don't need to gimmick the gimmick by making it rhyme. Whatever. I liked it. It's short and it's punchy. You're gonna go in B, but like a high B. We'll sort you out a bit. Next up is Armored Lab Force Vol Vehicles. Pretty quick, kind of frenetic, a lot of fun. Low B, high C, cup size D. Cruisin' Blast, very little to it. Tends to rely on replay value rather than depth. You are solid mid-tier C. This one, Cruisin' and Vol Vehicles, very short because I played them as something to do after Metroid Prime. So it was fine. I'm going to stand by that Empirical Woodland because visual novels, man! Just write a book. Because then I won't read it. September. Sember. Always remember happy day. Remember play signals? Alright, back to English. Signalis. Putting aside the obvious comparisons to Silent Hill 2, which is a massive ask, I will grant you. I really, really liked this one. And I particularly liked the way that it looked super scummy. Like it was a Delphine Mega Drive game, but a full modern day length. And the fourth wall break, where you have to open the manual to get to the actual final act of the game. Chef kiss. Fantastic. Oh, we'll get to that, Empirical Woodland. That's next on the list. Look at it. You did that. I'm just gonna finish up Signalis, which it's quick, which is to say that I looked up. I don't know what the story is in Signalis, and I looked it up, and it says the devs have refused to elaborate or confirm what any of it means, so I no longer care. A rank. Alright, Empirical Woodland suggested this one. Lost Words Beyond the Page. I was misled with this game, because, again, kind of small, but look at this happy, cute, going on an adventure with magic and dragons box art. And he didn't tell me that it was a sad game, which blindsided me completely. Which is the point of the game, I suppose. Like, it ties in with the story, I guess? I don't know. I liked a lot of what this one did. I did ask for a short game, and you gave me 2 streams of just heartbreak is what you did. But that's kind of my primary takeaway from the game. I loved that this game was able to bring me to that emotional state, and that you guys came along too. Like, I appreciate that I was able to be an absolute mess, and you guys said, no, keep on going, you tell those sad stories. In fact, here's one of mine, CPC Gamer. And then I get better, and I'm like, okay, we can finish this game now, we're good to go. And then the game says for Terry, and I go right back to step 1. I'm gonna put you in A tier, because I like a lot of what I like the cut of your jib game. Alright, Virgo versus the Zodiac was incredibly buggy and spectacularly wordy, to the point that it detracted from the overall product. I think, genuinely, I think I would have enjoyed Virgo more if I wasn't streaming it. Like, if I could just read it to myself, take in all the quirky doofy nonsense without actively knowing that I'm definitely boring people, that would have made for a better experience. Except for the ending, when the game goes, by the way, you're a monster? And I'm like, yes, that is the plot. Game, don't try to make me feel bad about it. You're the one who wrote it down. And it's not a bad game or anything, it's just kind of boring. And again, I genuinely forgot that I played this one at a point. I keep coming back to the soundtrack because the soundtrack's great, but I forgot that I had played it until I came to do this list. So there you go, C rank for you. Pokemon Unite is a game that I enjoy playing with Tiny Child, but the problem with Pokemon Unite is that there is nothing to it. You've got one game mode across 2 identical maps, but like 5 different battle passes, 4 different premium currencies, dailies, weeklies, monthlies, premium dailies, weeklies, monthlies, events, premium events, and a monthly subscription fee. It is just a device to pour your money into, which will allow you to keep pouring money into it, but wearing a slightly browner hat. for a few days because premium cosmetics can relock and then you have to buy them again. I do not know why this game hasn't been burnt to the ground. It's fun when Tiny Child gets into it, but you are going in D tier with like White Day and Yume Nikki because I need to find better games for Tiny Child to play. Create a new bad tier for Teen just for Pokemon Unite. I mean, I'm tempted to, but we're just gonna go like the standard tier list right here. That'll be fun. So, October was Fatal Frame 4. And on the one hand, I like a lot of what this game does. The idea that mirrors can't be trusted and you can't see your face anymore, hell yeah. And the little Easter egg hunt is probably the most Fatal Frame thing in the entire franchise. Because you've got this terrifying visceral horror, 24 out of 69 collectibles, boy! And it's silly, and I love it. But like, as I was playing it, I realized there's very little meat in these mattresses. But every encounter is the same 3 ghosts. And every ghost seems to have the same attack pattern. Also, there is a randomly generated sliding tile puzzle, which is boring and stupid. Right, you guys saw how frustrated I got on stream? That wasn't a bit. That was legitimately me being angry at the game for pulling that. And I really wanted to put you up here in like S tier with your sister, but I can't. So low B tier for you. We will sort that later. Full Quiet was the next one. And I don't want to say that this is a bad game, because mechanically it's fantastic. And the fact that something like this size runs on the NES, technical wizardry. But I didn't have fun with it. I cut the stream short and I never went back to it. Not with you guys, not on my own. So I'm gonna rank you D. Because I'm sure you're fine, but I couldn't keep going with it. Like, even White Day, I got to the end. Spite is a hell of a motivator, you know? But there it is. Next up was Dredge. And can I surprise you, chat? I really enjoyed the low-poly fishing horror game. Golly, have we been here before? No, I love this one. Gameplay loop is really simple to pick up. There's enough variety that it's not just one thing over and over. The timer is incredibly well balanced to make the game scary. And, you know, kind of like the 2 Fatal Frame titles on this list, Dredge gets nightmare logic. There is something very wrong in the world, but nobody seems to, like, acknowledge it or notice it aside from you, and that makes it worse. And I'm gonna put you in S, but like lower S, because the endings are lame. Side note, actually, with Dredge, the DLC for Dredge, exactly how DLC should go. It's a remix of the main thing, the main game, instead of just being more of it, and you get some tools to take back to the main game. That is exactly what it should be, and that's why the 3D, well, the 2 3D Fallout games that I have played, 3 and New Vegas, they do a similar thing. You just, here's this cool alternate setting for a couple hours, back to the main game with your cool zappy gun. Demonic Arts, welcome on in. I enjoyed Dredge 2. It was fun to play. Nice artwork. Absolutely. I've shown off some of that artwork to my friends because I love the hastily done stabbing an oil brush into the canvas effect. It looks really good. It reminds me, actually, of some of the Silent Hill comics. Paint It Black, specifically. Weird story, pretty decent art. The next entry on my list is, I played 33 CPC games this year. Doing this, just streaming some old games I used to own from the 80s and showing off where I'm from. So yeah, A rank. It was more good than bad. Also, yeah, 33 Zarkar is like something like 16 in each stream. Because that's the nature of CPC games. They're very popcorny. You pick them up, you play them, you put them down and go away. Next up is Suika Gamer. And to give you an example of how addictive this game is, I said I would do 2 rounds. One normal, one Halloween. An hour later, I realized I needed to stop because I could stream it all night. And it is a great example of how you don't really need much of anything to create a killer game. Just a few PNGs and a rudimentary physics engine, $2 download. I'm addicted. This is one of my favorite fun time lunch break games. So you go S tier. Where does My Immortal go on the tier list? My Immortal goes in S+ tier, which is so good you can't see it. Imperceptible with the naked eye. Naked is sexy, you get it because I'm goth. Anyway, it's November time, where I played Echo the Dolphin. It was a Subtober reward, wasn't it? I don't know. Yeah, something like that. This one falls into the same category as some of the other games on this list, I reckon, where it's not... It is a lot of fun, but it's not suitable for the way that I stream. Like, this game is unfair. Deliberately so. And I didn't even get to some of the worst parts. Like, there is one boss that can instantly kill you at the end of a 20-minute stage. And then one bit, you go through like a strictly timed labyrinth to find a time machine with a left button, right button. And the wrong button just kills you in a cutscene. And that's what the game is. You die, reload, repeat. And I had a lot of fun doing this as a kid. I completed this game, I remind you. It's just not what I enjoy doing on stream, you know? But game-wise, I am going to rank you A, because I enjoy the games. I think the atmosphere is sensational. The music and the graphics do such a good job of making you feel totally alone, which ties into the fear I have of the open ocean. Oh, golly. Alright, next up, Fatal Frame 2 Wii Edition, which is an alright remake, and you're going to go in A rank. You don't get a full review, because I only played it for like 10 minutes. So I think I spent longer setting up the Wii U than I spent playing Fatal Frame 2 Remake. Donkey Kong Land on Game Boy. Lots of teething issues, which is what you expect from being the first game in the series. With that said, game's a lot of fun, and surprisingly well balanced when you know what you're doing. Like, I remember that one rope level at the end, like I think it's the last level, where every time I died, I just blazed through the level to that one point really, really quickly, and you learn the pathing that way. So that's good. And the soundtrack is great. Soundtrack is a lot of fun. Blimp Off is spectacular. It needs to be in more Donkey Kong things. License it for something, damn it! I'm pretty sure I gave you an A at the time, and I'm going to stand by it. Up you go. Dementium the Ward is very, very silly. that is my one-sentence review. There's no pacing, or tension, or build-up. It's just horror from gate to gate. And then, like, Chapter 15 is named the first encounter. Chapter 16, the final encounter. What? Also, the ending section got incredibly frustrating, but that was more of an issue of not understanding the system. And once I did, I got a lot better and I calmed down. Also, cheesing the final boss definitely helped. Mid B. Kingdom 80s. I liked a lot about this game in theory, and I think I would enjoy watching somebody else play through it, but I didn't really enjoy playing it. Like, pretty much just kind of leaves you to your own devices, and it's a little frustrating to figure it all out. Like, I completed level 1. I'm told that level 2, 3, and 4 are exactly the same, just wider. So I'm going to place you in C. You're not a bad game, by any means. You're not my cup of tea. Right, next up is Wrestle Quest. There's going to be an asterisk next to this one because I'm not done with it yet. But I am having a lot of fun with it. Because it's incredibly silly, and it knows how incredibly silly it is. For people who haven't seen it, there was an extended Cluedo parody, and like, alright, I'm down for this nonsense, let's go. I don't think I understand it sometimes, and it crashes a lot. But I am having fun with it, so you're going to go into B tier for now. We'll see where you go at the end of all of this. SpookyGhosts.com was the next one. That one was billed as like a discount Metroidvania, but it kind of isn't. Aw, thank you, Zakai. I like doing those voices. Less so when I'm kind of congested, but there's a bit of physicality to it as well. But like, oh, when I'm doing the Macho Man voice, I really enjoy doing that. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Also, my Spanish is getting better, bit by bit. Amazing. Let's not talk about Luchadora's voice, which is another thing I have stolen from you. But yeah, SpookyGhost.com. It's not a Metroidvania. Don't lie to me. There's one movement ability, and every other pickup is a key, and that's not how Metroidvanias work. You're just a platformer game. And a pretty tough one as well. Like, I very quickly rebalanced it, and even then, it was pretty tough. It didn't really put me off playing it, though. So, I did stick with it till the end, you may recall. Don't know that I'd recommend it, though, because there's other games that do this better. So, kind of like with Kingdom, you're going to go in C. Because you're basically fine, and there's nothing bad about what you do. Yeah. And then we come to December, the final month of the year, where we began playing Hype, which is wild. The bad parts are frustrating. The platforming, mostly. But the fun bits are a lot of fun. And it turns into Panzer Dragoon. And I like Panzer Dragoon. You are going to go into B next to Wrestle Quest, and we'll see where you go when I finish you. Because I'm going to finish you. I'm very close. I can feel it in my bones. Alright, Monopoly Madness. And the way I say that name tells you how I feel about this game. I said it at the time, and I'm going to say it again now. It feels like an AI tried to copy Overcooked. Because it's got the same basic elements. Like the little caricature peg people doing micro tasks and bumping into each other. Oh no, challenge mode. But the AI doesn't know why people find Overcooked fun. So this one isn't. And like, I was going to put you in D tier anyway because you got rabbits in it, and that's where they belong. But genuinely, you deserve to go there because you are so bland and corporate and safe. However, Richest Mode Monopoly, when I streamed it, I described this as whatever the opposite of this is. And I stand by that because, oh my god, this game is so much fun. I've been playing video game conversions of Monopoly on literally everything I have owned since the Amstrad CPC. This one, genuinely my favorite iteration. It is a Christmas tradition for me. You belong in S rank. There you go. That's my tier list for now. Do I want to arrange any of this stuff? Yes, I do. I like Jade Cocoon better than New Zealand Story. Jade Cocoon I could play for hours. Oh, amazing! Thank you very much for sticking around and watching me arrange tiles, Zarkrai. And thank you very much for subscribing and hanging out and being a chat participant. Have a happy new year. See you on the other side. Have a good one. I am going to put you over there. I like you better than that. You go there. You can go there. See, here's the thing. Katamari Reroll. I loved singing along to it. And I remember doing it, not even thinking about it. And like, that says something about the soundtrack to this game. It's just beautiful is what it is. Empirical Woodland makes a good point. I do not like visual novels. That's not his point. That's my point. But Murder by Numbers should go higher than that, I reckon. Let's put you over here. Yeah. Amstrad Games can go square in the middle. You can go like that, and like that. See, I feel bad doing this, because it's not like any of these games, like in the A rank, are particularly bad. That's why they're in A rank. I'm just... Man. The fun I had with some of these. I'm going to put you over there. Fan as I am of Castlevania! And doing that. Thanks, Soup, for reminding me of that. It does seem to be a one and done, and I don't think I'm going to go back to it anytime soon, so let's put you over here, baby. There we go. B tier. You can go like that, you can go like that. You are basically fine. Islanders and Dorf Romantic can go next to each other, because I feel like you are neighbors. Axiom Verge did slightly better than that. Let's put you over there. I got the sequel for Axiom Verge as well, by the way, so we're gonna be doing that next year at some point. It's on the list. C tier is basically fine. That's the order I'm going to include that. And then D. Actually, I think that's about right for D as well, to be honest. Everything seems to be set. Which I guess places Monopoly Madness as one of my worst games of the year. Technically, yes, because like I say, there's nothing to it. It's just boring. And there's so many different kinds of bad game. This is just boring. This is badly designed. And this has got nothing to it. This one just wants to steal your credit card. So, there you go, everybody. My top 5 for the year, apparently. Jade Cocoon, The New Zealand Story, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Fatal Frame 3, and Final Fantasy X. And my bottom 5, Monopoly Madness, White Day, Yume Nikki Remake, Pokemon Unite, and Star Tropics. If I had to single out the worst game that I played this year, like actually the one that brought me the most spite, I'm going to say White Day. Because how many times, since booting it up, and since getting to the end, have I gone, oh, for God's sake, this is like White Day, when it is your benchmark for how bad everything else is. White Day is the worst one I've played this year. There you go. No regrets. How do I download this? With the download button. Am I going to do that on stream? No. I'm going to do that off stream. And I'm going to throw it in the Discord. And I'm going to message my friends because it is about time to go to their house and their party. Good times. So, sadly, we're going to go with this sad version of Commando. Is this Commando? Pretty sure this one's Commando. Oh no, this is Spy versus Spy. Whatever it is, it's not on screen now. Here's my ending screen. I'm gonna go to a party now, and then I'm gonna go to work tomorrow, and then we're gonna come back with a new game tomorrow. That being Monday. Good times. Check the Discord for what it is. Just have a good evening, everybody. We're not gonna raid out. I'm just gonna say go in peace. Go have fun. Be with your friends and family. Enjoy everything. Thank you for enjoying me and my streams and allowing me to do this utter nonsense. You guys mean the world. I am contractually obliged by the law of dad jokes to go. Until next year, goodbye.